The the big problem that I see with Russell Wilson is he's not able to be coached by Sean Payton. Sean Payton wants to have a certain level of control and a certain kind of quarterback. And unfortunately, Russell Wilson doesn't fit into that narrative.
A veteran min contract.
I would say the chances are likely to very likely that he's going to be a Pittsburgh
How about
Steeler.
that? That's how every team is sounding right
Yeah,
now. Like
should.
Russell Wilson? Yeah, Super Bowl champion?
Played well for $1 million.
Dan Orlovsky, he's top 10 quarterback.
Yeah, true.
What are we going to pay him? Nothing? Love this guy. That's a real conversation happening with all these teams that are quarterback needy right now. And Russell Wilson went from this guy we don't want on our team. A lot of people saying, we're not saying we said that.
No.
We're saying the narrative about Russell Wilson over the last couple of years has certainly changed. The Danger Witch, the Mr. Broncos, let's ride. All this stuff was being viewed in a vastly different fashion than it was in Seattle when he was doing all this stuff.
So, and I think, you know what, that's a big, important part of it, because we're talking about marketability, right? We talked about Josh Allen and how he's very marketable. When Russell went to the Broncos, he became the most marketable that he'd ever been in his life. He wasn't the marketable guy in Seattle. You know, he was the family man and he went out there and played football, you know. But when he got to the Broncos, you know, he's everywhere. They got the Broncos, let's ride. He's doing the Subway commercials, you know, he's showing up at the reward events with Sierra now. You know, things started to change. And so that's why Sean Payton had the conversation with Russell and said, hey, stop kissing the babies, which is basically, you know, pay attention to football and focus, because Russell Wilson was transitioning to that superstardom side of football. And to be honest, he was actually playing decent. We know the first year Russell Wilson was absolutely trash. He was playing like garbage. We all knew that. We didn't even want to watch the damn Broncos game. That's how bad it was. But then the second year, it changed. Something clicked inside of Russell. And even though the Broncos weren't doing too well, he did have key moments where people were like, okay, that's still the Russell we know. And especially when they went out there and beat the damn Chiefs. I think that was an eye-opener right there. Like, okay, well, maybe you can figure out this team and this franchise, and Denver could have a chance to actually do something with Wilson. Well, then, lo and behold, obviously all the discussions and the conversations with, you know, Russell Wilson and how them telling him that he has to restructure his contract or they're going to make him sit on the bench. It's a slap on the face. And to be honest, even with Russell leaving and going to wherever he goes, I think that any quarterback who plays for the Broncos should be nervous and concerned as far as their future and really, really dig down deep into their contract and make sure that they have everything set in stone and shit can't be changed or overturned, because I wouldn't want to be in that situation. I wouldn't want to have somebody come back to me after we've signed on the dotted line. You paid what you said you would pay, and I'm obviously here trying to do my best. But yeah, let's get back into it.
Because in Seattle, you see they were winning.
Yeah.
In Denver, they were awful. So all the stuff that Russell Wilson has been doing his entire career, being basically a movie quarterback, like the epitome of what a movie NFL quarterback would be like on the sideline, in his workouts, at home, on the internet, in commercials, on the field, in the building, movie quarterback. How you would draw a character to be if they were an NFL quarterback. Giving back to the community, speaking the way, always super positive, like actually saying, clear eyes, full hearts, we're going to win to other adults in real life, not just.
And so it, just like I said, it goes back to the point of when you have a quarterback like Russell Wilson who's so marketable, people really aren't looking at the first year he had with Denver now. They're looking at the second year, and they're also looking at the amount of dollars that Russell Wilson can bring. So, yeah, there was talks and chatter about, hey, the Steelers may be, you know, an interesting situation. He'd have a solid set of wide receivers, and he'd have a good defense that could actually – he could ball out there. Now, the real question is, would Mike Tomlin make that decision? Because it is a strong decision. Would you bring in Russell Wilson and have to deal with, the cap issues and all that kind of stuff and the money problems that brings. But if you give Russell Wilson the offense that the Steelers has, and he actually believes in himself, could he become viable there? That's a strong one. It's a strong case for it. It really is. But we'll keep it going. We'll keep it going because I think this is very, very important. And at the end of the day, I don't think Russell Wilson's done.
Not just in movies, all that was beloved in Seattle. In Denver, though, the narrative changed on him quick.
Yeah.
Quick. They're like, this guy sucks. Get this guy out of here. How is this guy taken seriously? Boom, boom, boom. That's not everybody, but a lot of people started doing that. Now that he's only worth $1 million for next year's salary, everybody that was thinking that needs a quarterback, we'll take a future Hall of Fame quarterback for $1 million. It's a wild turn of events over the last 24 hours.
I mean, Russ at $30 million. No, I'm okay. I'm good. But Russ at $1 million or whatever the vet minute is, he had 26 touchdowns and 8 interceptions last year. The last 2 years, the last 2 seasons, 2 full seasons, the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterbacks have accounted for 24 total passing touchdowns. TJ Watt has 24 and a half sacks over that time. So more sacks than passing touchdowns. So yeah, I think if you can get a potential future Hall of Famer who has done it, who has been there, who did enjoy, just turning around and hand that ball off to Marshawn Lynch, play action, get out.
Well, except for on that one play.
And see, that's, to me, that's just the reality of it, right? Russell Wilson, I don't think is completely done. I do think that he may have a solid year or 2 left in him before he may have to really start making a decision to, sit it down. But I do feel like he's someone that does have the experience. He's someone that has already been there. He's someone that can go out on that field and, make some good decisions as far as, whether or not he has the right offense to do it in. That's the question. And a lot of people will sit here and be like, oh, Pete Carroll knew what was coming. He knew that Russell Wilson was going to be trash and, he was moving on from him. I think the reality is this: Pete Carroll moved on from Russell Wilson because he knew how much he was going to be asking for, and he didn't feel like he was worth that, which is fine. Denver decided to pick him up and basically make him the franchise over there and pay them all the damn money they did. And now moving on from him, obviously another team is going to pick up Russell, and depending on where he goes, if he gets the right offense, he may be effective. He may come back out and be able to shut everybody up again. Things come in waves for players like this. And I do think that Russell Wilson has that kind of – I think he has that kind of positive effect that if he was to move on to a different team and if he came out and just won his first 3 games, everybody would be all eyes on Russell again and he'd be getting the praise again because, that's just the reality of it. He's always had that really, really, good guy aura about him that everybody loves. So, yeah, I don't think Russ is done. I do think that he was treated unfairly in Denver by the, executives and obviously Sean Payton. But I do think he'll move on, and I think wherever he goes, he may have one last good year in.